courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome into Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here. Happy 2015. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you had a good 2014. And as we do this show today, we're looking at some real cold weather, so I want to make sure you got your pets taken care of. Today's guest is Trull. He's a retired Master Sergeant, and he's with the Chemical Corps Regimental Association. That's the reason I want him on here today to tell us about that. So stay where you are, get you a pen. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Veterans Issues. Today's guest is Trull, and he is a retired Master Sergeant, United States Army, and he's with a group called the Chemical Corps Regimental Association. We'll get into that more, but I always like to give you an idea of who the guest is and where he's been, what he's done, and let you know that after we get out of the military, we don't end our lives at that point. So welcome to the show, Charles.
No, thank you, Ken. Glad to be here.
Glad to be anywhere?
Well, I'm glad to be anywhere.
Cold
as
today.
old as I am.
I'm telling you, and it's cold out there.
Yes, it is.
It's going to get colder.
I don't normally wear a coat, but this morning I had to.
I'm telling you, do you have animals?
We don't have animals per se, but we got about 10 cats that come to eat.
I hear. Well, I was warn people we forget about our little critters that stay outside. A lot of people are outside animals, and this type of weather, 10 degrees out there is really cold for anything to be outside. So I ask people to. Just thought I'd throw that in there, but let's see some things about you. You was in the United States Army. Did you retire from the Army?
I retired from the Army. I had 21 years service. I retired April the 1st of 1979, and I went in 16th of September of 1958.
Where are some of the exotic, we get to serve, I served in a lot of exotic places. When I was looking at some of your bio, I saw that you and I probably crossed paths along some of the same places. Some of the places where you served. You went into boot camp where?
I went to boot camp at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Oh boy, that's lovely, wasn't it?
Sand Hill and so forth.
And Sand Hill was at Fort Benning.
That's one of them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You got one. You got another one?
You had one at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Oh,
they
man.
used to walk us up and walk us down and run us up and run us down.
Oh man, I didn't know this was but one Sand Hill, and I didn't think the world could stand but one. But because I was at Fort Benning where Sand Hill was too, you know. So. And some of the other places you
after my basic training, combat training, I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for engineer training.
Fort Lost in the Woods.
I was in the combat engineers initially, and they had a couple of I'd say shortfalls in a school, in the bridge school, and so they pulled me out of, after completion of the combat engineers, they pulled me out and put me in bridge training, which was really good. Learned a lot how to build bridges and.
Did you ever build one across the Rhine River?
No, never did. Never did that. Never did that.
I was part of a battalion. We went halfway, and another on the other side came back and met us. Mm-hmm. It was about 15 below zero.
Yeah.
And never forget that. I slept in a tent. It was me and the first sergeant and the company clerk in one tent, and the kerosene heater would start stuff up about midnight. And the first sergeant would call it my name to get up and clean it out. Yeah. I'd pretend I was asleep, and they'd cuss me all day.
Yeah. Did build bridges in Korea though.
Yeah.
And it was about 19 degrees, and we had the cranes in the middle of the river. Putting up bridges, and when they get ready to move the crane, it was so cold that the axles would snap.
Wow. People don't realize what the capabilities of the military is at that. We'd float those pontoons in there, and we put the bridge to bridge the Rhine the Rhine River, and then sent vehicles across it.
Yeah.
Both ways. Send them over, and they turn around and come back, and then tear it down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the learning process.
Yeah.
How to do it and how to do it fast.
Yeah, and in Fort Leonard Wood, you was talking about, I was in the engineer combat, not the combat engineer, but construction engineers. Operated over 830M earth moving machines, the D9 dozers and stuff like that. That's Quite a deal. And where's some of the other places you said?
Well, when I left bridge training, I went to Fort Hood, Texas, and we were assigned to different units there pending arrival of Combat Command A of the 1st Armored Division, which we were ultimately assigned to, and I was assigned to the 16th Engineer Company, which was only one company. It was Company A of the 16th Engineers, and I was there for about 4 months. And during that time, I was promoted to PFC and initially Specialist 4, and then I was given orders for Korea and went to Korea and was in the 647th Float Bridge Company.
In Korea?
Yes.
What part of Korea?
At south of Seoul, south of and north of Incheon.
And from there?
We left Korea after 1 year, and I went back to Fort Hood. They have a saying in the Army: if you've ever been assigned to Fort Hood, you'll be assigned there again.
It's kind of like you got to go anywhere. You got to go through Atlanta.
So I went right back to the 16th Engineers, but when I was in Korea, I was promoted to sergeant, and I went back to the same company that I had left, and the company commander was still there. He was an older company commander, Captain Edson, been around for a long time. And when I walked in and reported, he looked up at me and he said, "Sergeant Trull," he said, "it's nice to see you, but I'm glad you got promoted because you know me. When I take them back, I like to take them back 2 at a time," talking about my stripes.
Wow.
And I said, "Yes, sir." But anyway, I was there for about a year, and a slot came open at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, that they needed a staff sergeant for, so they sent me up there.
That's at Fort Hood. When you say that, I never stationed at Fort Hood, but I think about the places we served. We kind of have a thing in our heart for those places. We've disliked them or whatever, but we do, when something happens at one of them, we feel attached. And I think about the Fort Hood terrorist attack down there. That must set you back a ways in your mind.
Well, it took me back quite a ways. I just don't understand how something like that could happen. Of course, there's a lot of theories and so forth, and I don't like to indulge in theories.
Yeah. But let me throw something at you. I was at Fort Sill and I was at Fort Benning and all these. I didn't have any. I had a weapon, but I didn't have any ammunition. And on that base of Fort Benning, with the exception of the MPs, we were as vulnerable as the people in Columbus, Georgia, because we had weapons, but no ammunition for them.
Yeah, that's true.
So we didn't walk around with them, and so we weren't any more stronger than to go in the Walmart attack, because we're probably worse off than the people there. But
yeah,
that's the people have a perception, because you got all these military on these bases, the Navy and Air Force, and very few people have ammunition for those weapons.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
skills that you change. You was at Fort Sill, and that's out there. I remember Cache, Oklahoma, and all that stuff out there. But that's a heck of a place to serve. You got storms, you got drought, and you got tornadoes, and you name it. That place offered it all.
That's true.
Yeah, we got to go to a break here. Then we'll come back. We're going to talk more about what we really want to talk today about is the Chemical Corps Regimental Association. Get your pen. You might want to be a part of this or something. I know somebody that needs help from us, so get your pen. Be right back. Welcome back to Veterans Issue. Continuing on here, talking with Charles Trull. He's a United States Army retiree, and he's retired as a Master Sergeant. And he's involved in a lot of things. I noticed on his bio and everything, he's involved in the Kiwanis. So Charles, coming back to you, are you in the Kiwanis now, or you just have been?
I had been in the Kiwanis. I'll tell you a little bit of story about that. The Oxford Golden K Kiwanis, I've been in there since about 2004, and so I've was in there quite a while. We had 3 of our members passed away within 1 month of each other, And so that reduced our numbers considerably, and we've had a tremendous problem of getting new members
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And so we wound up with only 10 or 11 people, and the people that we had were average age of about 80, 85.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a member of it, and there's some hardworking people in there. They do some great things, and if people ever have a chance to, I have people that call me saying, I'm out of the military, I'm retired. What's some good things to get involved in? I always say Kiwanis.
Yes,
It's a
it is.
great organization.
It is.
Does
We
great stuff.
we did a lot. We had monies that we provided, although they were small,
Yeah.
for about 12 organizations. We had one each month we would provide monies for, things like,
Don't leave out the pancakes now.
well, it did, that's where we got most of our money,
Yeah.
with the pancake breakfast. We also sold candy and things like that to get extra money so
Yeah.
that we could give the money away. But the people that we had left in the Kiwanis as our members were unable to do those things. We only had about 3 or 4 that could really do anything.
And I saw that you had been involved with the Cleveland Calhoun County Special Olympics. That's something near and dear to me, that with the fishing classic we had, I was involved with.
Yeah, I've been doing that for about 7 years now. Got into that with a lady from the Kiwanis, who's no longer in Kiwanis now, but she's a contractor up in Anniston. But the Cleveland County, Calhoun Cleveland County it's a great thing. You get out there and you look at those kids.
Oh, yeah.
But the biggest thrill that I've got, and I think other people got, was they bring in other children. There's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
And they are there to help the ones that are
Let
having
them feel
problems.
what it's like to give. Yeah.
And they bring those people in, and I think in my mind it teaches the children that there are people that are worse off than you, and you taking care of them makes you feel good.
Yeah, and so you talking about it, I can see it in your face, you know, and I do a lot of things. I get a lot more out of what I put in it than I do get out of it. And if you can teach a younger generation that giving to those less fortunate, how they feel inside, you can't write that out on a piece of paper, but you can see it once they do help somebody stumble along with stuff less fortunate.
Yeah, in keeping with that, we have the Oxford Middle School Builders Club as part of the Kiwanis. That's one of the small activities that Kiwanis has, and they helped us with the pancake breakfast. And one of the things they did is they would walk alongside of the less fortunate, if you will.
Okay.
And they would get their
Help them
meals
get their,
and take the meals to the table.
Wow.
And they would watch over them and see that if they needed some extra juice, they'd get the juice for them.
Yeah, we got a group
They
here
loved it.
called the Young Marines that do stuff like that, and I'm so proud of them. That lets them get a feel of helping others. Now, before I get this Chemical Corps Regimental Association, I've been doing this since Bo was a baby, and I did not know about this organization. But as on the State Board of Veterans Affairs, I get a quarterly report from all the veterans' homes regarding the things that are happening. I keep seeing your organization, or the organization you're part of, popping up as donors of financial aid and whatever to the veterans' home. Do y'all do a lot of them, or what? How does that? And what is this organization, first of
Well,
all?
the Chemical Corps Regimental Association started back when Fort McClellan was getting ready to close.
It began at Fort McClellan.
Yes, because it's the McClellan chapter of the Chemical Corps Regimental Association, which actually is headquartered at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And the activities that we do, basically, like any organization, you have a lot of members, but you have few workers or less workers. And we have a breakfast every Thursday morning. We have dinners that we have a couple of times a year, normally in either the spring or early summer, and then in the winter. We see where our money is, see how much we have, and see what we want to work with.
And y'all decide what you're going to do with it, what organization you're going to support.
Yeah.
See, Lieutenant Colonel retired, Gary Harvey is a friend of mine, and he's the one that told me about it. And it's like, how did this, it keeps popping up as a donor to the home, but I didn't, to the Veterans Home, but I'd never heard of the organization. To come to find out, it's right here.
It's a national organization.
Does who can be a member of it?
Well, anyone that was stationed at Fort McClellan can be a member of it. Most of the people are either retired NCOs or retired officers that worked chemical in the chemical school. However, we have a lot of we have Air Force that were there. We have Marines that were at Fort McClellan. And,
do you have any civilians that work there?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Because I know that's always a part of an organization like that. The chemical corps out there, boy, that was, I was having a conversation this morning. I was reading in the paper where they're going to revamp some of that equipment out there at Anniston Army Depot to destroy some of the explosive materials that come in from other installations, if the EPA people in Montgomery approve it. But the chemicals has been a part of our history of military as long as I've been on this earth.
Well,
and people don't realize that.
Is in the Army since World War I, for sure.
And they don't know what would have been in the ground in different places around where you and I are today, do they?
No, normally the people don't know that, but it's not something that's been a secret.
Yeah.
It's just something that you don't publicize. That's all.
Yeah. Well, this organization, I know you do. You support other things other than the Veterans Home. I know you're at the nursing home, one of the local nursing homes here in Oxford.
We don't not only do the nursing homes. What we do are the veterans homes. We do the nursing homes. In Alabama, what do we have? 3 nursing four veterans homes, and we try to get to as many of those as we can because there you're dealing with veterans. In the nursing homes, you have to do some pre-work with the people in the nursing home to find out who the veterans are, what activity they served in, and oddly enough, you'll get Merchant Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard.
And you mentioned, we're running out of time, you mentioned RMC, to thanking them for helping you. Is it financial help that they do?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
The Regional Medical Center here in Anniston.
Yes, indeed. And we receive funds from individuals and organizations.
If you're interested out there and like to help out this organization, that I'm seeing the works, and it's a great reward to the veterans out there that are on the receiving end of that. I appreciate you coming on the show and telling us about this.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
We'll be talking about it more, and maybe some of your cohorts would like to come on here and tell about theirs. I like to hear about people's stories of where they were, where they served, and let the people know that they didn't just give up when they come out of the service retired. They serve in another way, serve in the community. And thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Add to the military.
Well, thank you very much, and come back anytime.
You will?
Yes,
I got you on camera. Say we've got to go to a break. Come back. I got news that you can use. Stay right there. Okay. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Appreciate Charles Trull coming and doing the show today. And this is the news you can use part. And I hate to do this, but I got to go to my iPhone here because this message came in right before I came to the door. It's from Dan Long, who's over the Young Marines here. So I'm going to have to read this from the iPhone. So it said, Ken, would you get the word out on the program about Young Marines, date January the 12th at 6:30 p.m. January the 12th, 6:30 p.m. at the Jacksonville Community Center room, number 1. Jacksonville Community Center, room number 1. This is for girls and boys, 8 years old to 18. And you can have them call me at 256-310-6481 for more information. Now, that's from Dan Long. The Young Marines are a great organization, boys and girls, that instills character in them. I'm so proud of them, been associated with them from the day they started here. I watched some of them grow up, and one of them, or maybe 2 of them, are already going into Marine Corps. But that's not the reason for it. Most of them are never looking at going into Marine Corps. They're just instilling character in them, and they're involved in the community. And I seen, I won't go into detail, but I've seen some kid do a complete reverse turnaround. It's a great organization, so look them up. And if you got any questions about what I just read there real fast, go on the screen and look up my number and call me at 256-239-9234, and I will give you the information of where the Young Marines are going to be meeting. Flu shots. We're sitting here in January, and the VA is still recommending that if you haven't got a flu shot, that you can help your chances of not having this horrible mess that's going around because it's effective about 58% of the flus. And I'm sitting here a testament to you that I had it, and I have not had it, knock on wood. I have not had the flu yet. Neither has my daughter who's had it. So think about that. Go get your flu shot. Flu season is not over with yet. I got to do these shout outs because I'm getting in trouble here. Lisa, Cindy, Sandy, Amy, Daryl, Ricky, Judy, and Vince. Hey, little Vince. Those are your shout outs for this week. And I want to thank everybody that's buying that law enforcement tag starting of the year. If you got a tag coming up for renewal, your purchase of the law enforcement tag, you do not have to be associated with the law, but it shows your support for the law enforcement for their memorial. And a portion of it goes to Washington, D.C., to that memorial, just 5%. The rest of it goes to the memorial to be built here in Anniston, Alabama. So look at getting a law enforcement tag, and it's a good-looking tag. It goes with every color of your vehicle you got, and it will send a message that you support the fallen, the line of duty law enforcement. Gosh, we need to really support them now, don't we? Pay it forward. I always put that on here because there's nothing you can do for yourself. If something ails you and you're in line, pay for the person behind you in the drive-through or something. Watch what it does for you. It'll make you feel good. It's probably the best medicine you can get. Let's see. I'm running out of time as usual. So, okay. The VA is building something to look for this next year or so. They're building a new women's clinic, eye clinic, and a new parking area over in Birmingham. So we're going to be able to tell you all about that. Just talking to the public affairs man this morning about it, and they're happy, and we're happy, and everybody's going to be happy over that. So this week, there's a lot of people like Charles was on here today that help veterans. So I'm just going to give a salute out to everybody that supports our veterans here in the state of Alabama. See you next week here on Veterans Issues. Salute.